Welcome everybody, my name is Mr. Llama. Today I am bringing you Winning with Ease, and this is going to be dealing with mech play as a Zerg. So this is actually going to be a slightly different style of Winning with Ease, simply because it's a little bit more aggressive, because when you are playing against a mech player, generally he is going to be turtling for the most part of the game, and so sitting back and getting ready to defend for it is typically not the style that I would advocate. Because it's more you want to be constantly pushing out, you want to be constantly pressuring him. If you are going to have to engage his army, you want it to be around his base, not yours, so that then you can replenish your army. So, really quickly, we will be doing the new subscriber shout out, because I do appreciate everybody who does subscribe to me and hopefully finds my stuff useful. So, Bowelmick, Lappable, Jax Damon, I Am Radius, CTS294, Loki, God of Trickery, Oblivious, YouTube, 44F, B Follow Well, 08, Flex 11111, 6 Points of View, Robber 52B, Legend of Solitar 78, Xatros, The Ronin, Stephen Massey, Hugo P, Hannah Cole, 15 Soccer, 93 Fizz, Brett Lee 25, and Obagino. So I'm going to go ahead and stop with that. I do have more, of course, but I will just get to them in the next video. So thank you guys for subscribing. It makes me feel better. It encourages me to keep making the content, because I know people are out there kind of counting on it and stuff. So I do appreciate that. So really quickly, I'm going to go ahead and try and take my 15 hatch. And I want to note, hey, you know what? You're not always going to be able to take your 15 hatch, because sometimes you have an annoying SCV that's going to come down here. So what do you have to do? Well, you have to go ahead and pool another SCV, and then you can use this SCV to go ahead and attack that SCV, get him away. And then you can drop down your hatch rate if you want. So I'm actually going to try and kill that one. I don't get it down. In the meantime, I do have my scouting drone out as well. And I'm actually going to follow this SCV simply because I want to get the kill on him. So this is just kind of some stuff that you can do if you have a little bit of extra time to micro around. I also see this SCV out here. I see no gas, so it looks like a 1-rax FE from what I can see. I do throw my pool down though, of course. And yeah, so now I'm going to go ahead and try and meet this SCV to kill it, and I actually get the snipe on it. So now I can just return my drones back home. So if you have the extra APM to do it, go for it. But if you're going to miss a pool or something, please do not do it whatsoever. I mean, it's not worth being 30 seconds late on your pool to try and go pick off that one SCV. So just kind of be very casual about it. So, really quickly, I want to talk about Overlord placements. I have my one Overlord right here. To see anything pushing out, optionally, you can have your Overlord, your first Overlord go to back here, so then you can have that to go into the base. I'm going to send my second Overlord, though, around, and if you check out his nice little rally point, he's going to run around the map, so he can end up right here, of course, at like the 8-minute mark, something like that. And then I can use him to send into his base a little bit later and kind of check out exactly what's going on. So, always convenient to do that. Do not forget the very basic things of scouting, and note how little time that takes. That's very simple to get my Overlord in a pristine spot right there that he can then move into later. So I'm just going to continue droning up. I'm going to do a 4-queen opener. So what it is I'm going to simply build my 2 queens here, my main and my natural. And then I'll start queens immediately after, all the while simply getting drones behind this. I do see that he went for that 1-rack expand by just moving my Overlord a little bit in and back out. And so, of course, the queen pops. I start another queen. When this queen pops, I'll have the second queen ready. And so then I can start spreading my creep a little bit more, which is just always important in this matchup. At the very least, you want to be able to spread to your third base. That is probably the most important thing, because especially with Terrans, when they're going to be opening up with Hellions, which is pretty standard. I also want to note that I take my third hatch at 36. So I go ahead and get a slight supply block, and I take a hatch right there. Just kind of works out for me. So just kind of a personal style, I suppose, but it's pretty effective from what I could tell you at least. So now I can start playing down these creep tumors and stuff. But yeah, so especially on Cloud Kingdom, but any map really, you want to get that out, because if there's Hellions, you want to be able to get your queens over there, Banshees, whatever it is, so you can go back and forth between the two. It's not worth it at all to simply just not have the creep going over there. So definitely smart to do. Even if you only open 2 queens, I'd still recommend trying to get a tumor so you can start spreading it over there. Maybe sacrificing 1 round of links to get it to your third. So yeah, so now I can just start with that. I'm also going to start getting 3 of my gases here at 44 supply. That's just kind of a general thing I do. This allows me to get a kind of quick lair when I want to get it. And then, of course, I'll throw down an evolution chamber so I can start some upgrades soon. I can also start spores if for some reason he goes for fast banshees, whatever it is like that, off of this, 1x, of course. So I do see the Hellions pushing out now. So I'm not feeling terrible. This third base is going to be going up, but I don't have any drones there yet, so they really, the Hellions won't be able to do too much whatsoever. Maybe they can try and burn a drone or something like that. I mean a larva. But yeah, so nothing is really going on there yet. But with those Hellions, I will start throwing down spine crawlers here. And the reason for this is simply because you want to be very, very cautious. And I actually decided to throw a roach horn right here. And it's also just making this wall, right? So I want to kind of wall it off so he doesn't have as much room. And here, as you can see, he's got his Hellions. They're going to start poking away. I think he kills one larva. So nothing terrible. I can go over here, start injecting. And as well, when I do a little drone transfer, I can start building spine crawlers over here at my third as well. This is just so smart to do to be protected. It's just a way to really stay safe. I can see he's still making Hellions, so he has a decent number of Hellions. He should have about 6 Hellions by now on the field. Let's check the units. Yep, 6 Hellions. So I can simply count that just by having this dude right here. And watching those go by, I can know he has 6 Hellions on the field. So here I do have my Roach Horn finished. I will want to start gas fairly soon. I do start my Carapace level 1 upgrade here, but I wait to start my attack upgrade for this because I want to morph an Overseer and see if he's going to be going for Mech or if he just is going to do a lot of Hellions and then be going for Marine Marauder, because that does determine which upgrade I get. If he's going Marine Marauder, I like to get the melee attacks. If he's going for Mech, then I get the other one. So here I have all my queens. He's going to go ahead and do a little push in. I can transfuse, kill off a couple of Hellions right there. I will lose one queen, but it's not going to be terrible. I've got my spine crawler here as well, and really I'm not going to be in a terrible position. So it looks like I lose another queen, but overall I can just pull some drones back over to this geyser. So we'll just kind of chill over here and be fine. And so now he's going to do, that's a tiny bit like, excuse me. And so now he's going to try and do a little bit of harass, but really not much can be done right there. I'm in a fine position. And so now I'm starting to go ahead and make some roaches as well, because I do know that, hey, you know what, I see a decent amount of Hellions right there. It's okay to make a decent amount of roaches for some defense. So I have not started this. I believe I will start this now because I get into his base, and what do I see? Additional factories going down, right? So this is a pretty good timing to go ahead and send it in right there simply because of the Banshees. So with the Banshees, that's going to delay whatever his next tech was going to be there, but it was factory tech. I was able to get in there and scout it with that Overseer, and so now I feel fine. So I was trying to push my creep out. He's going to deny it like a good Terran player, and that's totally fine. So nothing terrible. And now, of course, I can come over here and just kind of defend against any Banshee, Hellion, whatever harass going on. So I am up to 64 drones. That's, I have great drone saturation. And so now I can really start pumping out. I have 64 drones with 9 more on the way. So I'll be up to 73 drones. And from there, you can just start going for a mass roach. Sort of think of a Stefano ZvP style. So that's kind of how I really react in a... ZvT against Mech. I go for a ZvP, and there you can see I've started my +1 upgrade as well, and I believe my +2 will be starting fairly shortly here, as I just finished that not too long ago. So yeah, so now I can kind of really start looking at a ZvP style, but I like to incorporate drops as well. So I'm getting drop speed and ventral sacks right here. And the reason for this is because he will sometimes have those siege tank lines, things like that. And if you can drop onto that, if you can go around and drop into bases, harass at lines, anything and everything to trade your units somewhat efficiently, you will be in a great position. So here he's going to push in once again, a lot of Hellions, nothing too concerning. Poor little dude does run out on his own though. But yeah, so nothing too concerning there. But just something to really note is you want to be able to trade. If he gets up to a 200 army with Thor, siege tank, stuff like that, it's not going to be very fun. So here you can see my upgrades are going down. And I do have drop tech almost done. So I'm going to be getting up to max fairly soon. I need to start a couple more Overlords. There we go. So once I do get up to that max, I can really just push out and do some serious damage, because a Terran player at the 13-minute mark is never going to be maxed. He's going to be around this supply. This Terran has played decently greedy this game, and he's at 129 supply. So really, he's not going to be crazy much higher than that. And so now I can just really start to hit up a large amount of roaches. I can also go for Infestor Tech here. fairly shortly, I believe, and I can move out with, of course, my drops right here. So I do see some units over there, so I'm actually going to go ahead and go for an army split. I'm going to send some of the units over towards this Hellions, while the other ones will run down towards this third as well. And then I will also send my Overlords over here, so then I can start doing some engages there, because once again, what do we not want? We don't want this to say 200, 200. So now I can push over here towards his third base before he has a ton, and focus fire these tanks, get in there, and just kill the tanks. That is so huge. If you can push up and split them even a tiny bit, that's great, but if you can focus fire these tanks down, you will be in such a great position. Now I can kill off all these SCVs. In the meantime, I've got my Overlords heading over here that I can just kind of leave to chill. I know he doesn't have much anti-air because he did go for a Mech style, so his only anti-air would maybe be Thor's really at that point, and so I know I'm totally fine. Now I can have more roaches push over, and so now I'm going to load some roaches up into these Overlords right here, and then I can continue in with more roaches to pressure this third if I want, because I know I just focused down his tanks. He doesn't have too much, so I can go ahead and engage with those in the future if I want. As well, I'm going to be throwing down a macro hatch right here, simply because I'm starting to get a little bit of money, and I should have taken my fourth at that point. So that was a little bit mistake on my part. I should have definitely taken my fourth right then. Instead, I waited a little bit too long. So just the expanding definitely could have been better in this game. Taking a fourth, taking a fifth definitely could have worked out. So now he's got some Banshees, and he's going to be a little bit annoying with those, and so I'm just going to have to run away. I also have my Infestation Pit going down, but here's what I want to note. What's this? Oh, well, up in the main, I do lose one Overlord, unfortunately, but I'm going to be able to once again drop and just start trading, start killing stuff off. I can kill off turrets, I can kill off whatever it is. I'm also going to push in here. I see he's got Planetary Fortress, so I'm going to back out of there pretty quickly. But here, you know what, I've got roaches. I'm killing off refineries. That's terrible for a Terran player if you can't be getting that gas right there. So he's already losing mining time plus losing that refinery. Killing off armories so he can't get that 3-3 upgrade immediately. And as well, trading units, which is just ever so important in this matchup. In the meantime, I'm pushing into my third base right here, or into his third base, excuse me. So now I can start killing off more SCVs. I can start killing off this tank. He's going to actually get a repair on the tank, but I kill off so many SCVs right there. I've killed 45 workers, right? So now that tank's going to go down. And it's just continuing to trade over and over all around this map. Even though I'm losing units, it's completely fine. Now I've got my fourth base going up. Like I said, this should already be up by now. I am late on that, but it's completely fine at this point. I've also started Hive. I've got my pathogen glands going. So even those could have been taken a little bit quicker. But simply I forgot that I had taken off gas right here. So get your geysers. Definitely get your Vespene geysers, and you'll be in a better position. I would be better economically at this point, and probably could be a little bit closer to max. But notice how good of a position I'm in, right? I've got my fourth base basically up at this point. He's been pushed back on these three. I've killed 45 workers, so he's down to 45 now, and I'm up at 66. So I'm just able to really trade efficiently. Here I see he's going to go ahead and start pushing out with these Banshees. So you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and load up some units. I don't know why I made Lings there. I think that was an accident. But I don't even have speed for Lings at this point, simply because I'm going very heavy into the Roach Tech. I also want to point out how important upgrades are. You do not really want to get behind on these upgrades, so I will want to start these 3-3 upgrades fairly soon. Of course, this is going to happen once I get my gas. This is why I said, had I taken my gases sooner, I would be in a better position at this point, but I'm still doing just fine. I'm still ahead 50 supply, and now I start my 3-3 upgrades right here. So I'm going to be ahead in the upgrade count as well, as he's still on 2-2, I believe, since I did kill off those armories. I'm checking for other bases right here. I note that he doesn't have a base here. I know that he doesn't have a base over here. I'm going to go check for a base right here, and as well, I just need to be careful to pull here. But now I can once again get in here and start trading, right? What's the name of the game? The name of the game is trading your units. He's at 114 supply right now. What do I want to do? I want to trade. He has a lot of turrets. Oh well, I'm still going to push in here and start trading some stuff. That's a ton of turrets. Nobody pushes into that except a person who just wants to get in and start trading units so quickly. So now I can push over, start picking off tank. One tank goes down, another tank goes down, another tank will go down. I'm just going to keep picking off tanks, picking off SCVs, denying mining time, whatever it is that I can do. And in the meantime, I'm going to deal with the harass up here. And once again, that puts me at even a better supply lead right there. I know he doesn't have a fourth base up. He may just be trying to take this right now, but I know he doesn't have this base over here at the very least. So now I know that, hey, I've got all these units, and I can start pressuring over here, and he's got to be worried. He had to lift off his command center right there. So it's just constantly putting him under pressure, constantly keeping him in a terrible position. Inject a little bit more efficiently than me, I suppose. But yeah, so I'm in a fine position. At this time, I could even take a 5th base. Once again, like I said, my macro was not perfect. I do get a Spire right now, so now I can start moving towards that Broodlord tech for the later game. And once again, had I had the gas going a little bit earlier, I could have even taken the Spire a little bit quicker with that Hive to go ahead and get faster, greater Spire. But I'm not in a terrible position where I'm really worried. Here I see him siege up. What does this tell me? This tells me, you know what? This is all vulnerable right in here. He has no defenses here because everything is over here defending this. So what am I going to do? I'm going to be able to push in here. I've got 3-3 almost completed. Regardless, 2-2 is going to be very strong enough, and so now I can just get in here, pick off that, and what do we see? Oh, we see some tanks over here. Well, that's free trades, so I can take off some tanks, I can take off some Banshees, not Banshees, Hellions, I can take off this Thor possibly if I want. I will push over and kill that Thor. So it's just continually trading, keeping that supply down. Look at his supply. More and more tanks going down. Yeah, I'm going to be losing some supply, but at this point, he has never even crossed, I believe, 150, 140. Has he even gotten past that? Killed off another refinery right there. I can start moving up to the ramp right here, try and pick off a supply depot, maybe pick off the reactor, whatever it is. I see he still doesn't have that base there. I see he's trying to take this base here, though, so that's probably going to be my next target. Bad rally point right there. Definitely should have rallied him more out towards the center. But you know what? I have my Spire up now, so I can get Corruptors, which is going to add the necessary damage for these Banshees, because he's continued to make these Banshees. They're starting to become a little bit of a problem right now. Still not a terrible problem. As you can tell, I'm still way in the lead in this game. I do have my 3-3. He has his 3-3 upgrades now as well, so neither one of us is behind in that. Like I said, definitely could have had a 5th base going a while ago, but we're still in a fine position. I'm still mining off these 2 bases just fine, and he's really kind of at a point of like desperation. So here I can start to push in, see where he's at, see exactly what he's got going right here. Okay, he's going to try and be more from this planetary fortress. What do we want to do? We want to make him cancel that. Okay, so I don't do a ton. I'm able to trade a little bit right there, pick off a couple tanks, but you know what? Probably better just pull back. But what happened right there? We prevented this planetary fortress from going down. We prevented even more mining time from happening. One more refinery killed off. That's just more and more that he cannot do, that he cannot be using. So now I've got my Corruptors out, I've got my Greater Spire going down, so now I can start pushing in to start picking off the Banshees, which are so annoying. Plus, I know that he is extremely tank heavy, because what have I done this entire game? I have made roaches. I have not made a single effort to go anything else, and so I know he's completely invested into all these tanks, so I'm going to get in here, and all of a sudden he has nothing to defend against all of this, because I have forced him to just make so many tanks right here. So just continuing with this roach production, of course, going to be getting up to that max, and then I can start making my Broodlords, and I know that he has basically nothing to counter that, because he's really just been so focused on roaches that this tech transition is going to catch him off guard. So as you can see, he's starting to make Thors, starting to make a starport, but that's not going to be in time for me to be able to deny this base. I've also got this roach over here to deny him taking a 5th base, so it really just puts him in a bad position. Excuse me, let me go busy. So now the Broodlord can, of course, push forward. I've still got Corruptors behind to help defend against anything, and that's going to force him back. So he's going to either have to go forward or back, and he knows he's going to have to go back right there, as you do not want to engage with all those Broodlords just kind of constantly doing damage. So what do? Well, we just pull forward with all of our roaches, and we can instantly just pick off this planetary fortress, because he's going to be forced to go back to his 3rd base, and all of a sudden, once again, he is stuck, never even making it past 150. So that's the most room, I should say, that I gave him, and that's when I'm teching up to my Broodlords right here. When he really doesn't have much he can do, I can push forward with some roaches, force a siege up, and what happens when he sieges? Well, they're all going to blow each other up, because that's what happens when you have Broodlords and tanks. So he's going to try and push forward, and now it's just kind of a little bit back and forth, really not too much he can do. He's going to be forced to unsiege tanks. You just cannot siege tanks up against broodlords whatsoever. It just puts you in a terrible position as the tanks just do so much damage. And so now I can just kind of retreat back a little bit and let my broodlords really get in and just continue to do damage. I've got more corruptors. I've got overseers. I know he has some cloaked banshees, I do believe, somewhere. So I morphed some overseers to go ahead and bring into the army. And this is basically just putting him down to nothing. He's got this left for mining, and that's all he has. I have my roaches right here with my broodlords. I'm continuing to max out. I'm completely fine in this game, and so this is basically just going to be the end of it, I should say. He may try and do a little bit something extra. He does have a couple star parts here that he's going to start making some Vikings out of, but with another round of corruptors and more roaches even, it's not really going to help him whatsoever. So this is basically going to be it. You can kind of just watch it end out, but that's basically all I'm going to talk about. Here I'm finally taking some additional bases like it really matters at this point. So those should have been taken earlier. I can definitely say it wasn't a perfectly played game, but it was decent enough to showcase. Here is how you really play against Mech. Don't let him get to that 200-200. That's just going to put him in a great position. That's going to put you at such a disadvantage. You're going to have to come over here, try and trade with your army. You can use like burrowed roaches and hope he walks over it without a raven. I've done that a few times, and you can trade somewhat efficiently. But then you have to remax and then catch him outside here again, and it's just not fun whatsoever. When in actuality, you can drop in here, go ahead and drop back here, push into his planetary. When he sieges up here, it's not a very mobile force, especially against roaches. The only thing mobile he has really is those Hellions, and so that's going to do absolutely nothing against your roaches pretty much. And so it just kind of puts them really in a bad position. Other thing to note is get your upgrades. You want to get those 2-2 upgrades especially. That's probably the most important. 3-3 of course is great, but get to that 2-2 upgrade for sure for your roaches. Because if he's got 2-2 and you don't, you can just be in a very bad position. It's just so hard to trade cost efficiently with an army, supposing that he really does build it up and you're not constantly just attacking him on different fronts. So that's going to be it for this game. My name is MrLlama. I hope you guys learned something, and I'll see you guys in my next video.